Once, in a small coastal town, there stood a lighthouse that guided ships safely to shore. Its keeper, an old man named Gideon, had watched over the lighthouse for decades. But one stormy night, he vanished without a trace. The townsfolk believed his ghost still haunted the lighthouse, guiding lost souls to safety. Years later, a young sailor named Ethan was caught in a fierce storm while navigating his fishing boat. The waves crashed violently and the boat was tossed around like a toy. Desperate for refuge, Ethan spotted the faint light of the old lighthouse, now abandoned and rumored to be haunted. With no other choice, Ethan steered towards the light. The lighthouse door creaked open as he approached, and he stumbled inside, drenched and shivering. The air was cold and damp, and the walls were lined with old nautical maps and faded photographs. Ethan climbed the spiral staircase to the top, where the light still shone brightly. As he reached the lantern room, he felt an icy chill and heard a faint whisper. "Welcome, sailor." Startled, Ethan turned to see the ghostly figure of Gideon, the old lighthouse keeper. Gideon's spectral form shimmered in the lantern's glow, and his eyes held a sadness that pierced Ethan's soul. "Why have you come here?" Gideon asked, his voice echoing like the wind. "I had no choice," Ethan replied, "the storm. I needed shelter." Gideon nodded sullenly. "I understand. I too was once lost in a storm, and now I guide those in need." Ethan noticed a tattered journal on a nearby table. It belonged to Gideon, and it revealed the tragic tale of his final night. Gideon had been trying to save a ship caught in a storm, but the waves were too strong. He was swept away, and his spirit had remained bound to the lighthouse ever since. "Can I help you find peace?" Ethan asked, feeling a surge of compassion. Gideon smiled faintly. "Perhaps. There is one last thing I must do." Together, they ventured back down the staircase to the lighthouse's base, where the old lifeboat lay covered in dust. Ethan helped Gideon carry the lifeboat to the shore, and as they placed it in the water, a beam of light pierced the stormy sky. "Thank you," Gideon whispered, his form beginning to fade. "May you never be lost in the storm again." With that, Gideon's spirit vanished and the storm began to calm. Ethan watched as the lighthouse's light flickered one last time before going out. The old keeper had found peace at last, and the town would forever remember the sailor who helped a ghostly guardian move on. And so, Ethan returned to his boat, guided by the memory of the lighthouse keeper who had saved his life. The legend of Gideon lived on, a beacon of hope for all who sailed the stormy seas.